When I was in first grade, our teacher used to pass out a sheet of paper. And on that paper, we'd have lines at the bottom, and the top was an empty, blank spot, usually some little squiggle of some sort, some shape, round, sharp, straight, we never knew, would be in that spot. And our job was to sit down and start off where the mark ended and create a picture out of it, and then write a story on those lines below. Simple enough, except for me. It was so hard. And I was not good at this at all. I would sit at my desk and I would stare at this paper, and the clock would be ticking, and I'd be nervous, and the people over there are finishing, and he's over there finishing. Dare you finish before me? He's finishing, and I've got about 5 minutes left of the time allotted to this task, and almost everyone's finished, and I would quickly just draw something and write whatever I could scribble onto that sheet of paper and turn it in. Now, being a competitive child, this did not bode well for me because A, I hated to be last. I was always first to finish anything. Math, spelling, all of it, I was first. And then I'd sit there and watch everybody else. But not here. Secondly, I hated turning in something that I felt wasn't good. I loved writing. I was a pretty decent little writer, sort of, but not with these experiments. It was terrible. Toastmasters, or Toastmaster of the day, esteemed guests. What if writing could, in fact, be easy all the time? How would that make a difference in your speeches? Well, let's go back to that first grade class, and I'll tell you something I discovered one day. So one day our teacher does pass out the paper, and I know what's in store. And I sit there, and again, I'm sitting down, and I'm nervous, and the clock is ticking, and they're finishing, and he's finishing. Always Carl finished first. And out of sheer frustration, unlike the other times when I would try to draw, I just put my pen on the end of what looked like this kind of arc thingy. It was this arc. That's it, just an arc. So I put my pen at the end of this arc and I start doodling. Again, out of sheer frustration, not to try to make something. And then all of a sudden, that arc kind of looked like a wave. And as I'm doodling on this paper, that wave started looking like a swirling sea. And then suddenly there was this princess, long, beautiful hair. And the next thing I knew, I was writing this story that just came to me. How was this making writing easy? Because as I was writing, I wrote what I discovered as I discovered it, instead of trying to work the other way around. So for you, you can take this task, this exercise, and try to make your writing just a little bit easier. So when you're not feeling it, when you can't think of anything to say, when you're not able to really convey what you're trying to convey to your audience, to your members, or maybe you're doing a professional speech, perhaps you can try opening up, this is going to be a little airy-fairy, to your muse. And this muse is born of inspiration. It is a divine energy that empowers the muse of writing, of creativity, and it empowers you to be able to create things that you may not otherwise be able to create. Might I recommend, or at least what I did. What I did when I would start practicing this later in life was I would write, and if it wasn't coming to me, I knew that my job was to simply put my pen to the paper or my hands to the keyboard and start writing. And when we do that, we open ourselves up to this power, and we're saying, I'm here, pick me, will you please help me? And then, when that creative force kind of dissipates, as it does, we start writing again with a deeper conviction. And that's our way of saying, I'm still here. Would you please come back and help? And if your muse is not being mischievous that day, surely she will speak back to you. And if she is feeling ornery, well, then that's when, at least for me, she forces me to pound the words and to keep doing my job, even when I'm not feeling it. Elizabeth Gilbert, writer of Eat, Pray, Love, in her 2014 talk, TED Talk, Your Elusive Creative Genius, alludes to this muse and talks a little bit about this process. Obviously for her it's a little bit different, for each of us it's a little bit different. And I was just so thrilled to discover her recently because I too subscribed to this idea of a muse since first grade when I was introduced to her. So when you are, wait, before we go further, let me let you know. This is not one of those, I have to wait for inspiration to write. This does not mean I don't study the craft of writing. It just means that I make myself do it, even if it's not something that I'm feeling. That's all, just a little trick. So, if you try this, give it a try, and when you do, you might find that your muse will come to you. For she is a mystery and a fiend. She is beauty and grotesque, and she is grace and light. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Well, as far as my ancestors go, it's kind of dull, really. I'm half German and half WASP. And WASP stands for White Anglo-Saxon Protestant. And that half of my family you can track back almost to the Mayflower. So that's as close as I come to having notable ancestors, I suppose, as I convey this information to you. Now, getting on to Carrie, which is really why I'm here today, to talk about her speech. And this speech is that Pathways assignment where you give a speech and you find out what was wrong with the speech from your evaluator, then you get up and give it again, try to incorporate the suggestions. Now, Tatiana was her evaluator the last time she gave the speech, was entitled, Do You Like Pino Coladas? I'm not being a drinker, I have trouble with this. But at any rate, I remember the speech, and I remember kind of being a bit all over the place and having trouble following it. But Tatiana got up here and had a number of suggestions. And these suggestions including to reconstructing the speech such a way that you remove any wording which does not fit your message. She had a lot of that at that first speech. Also, to start directly with the story, and thirdly, to lose the notes and lose the lecture. So let's evaluate Carrie on how she did with these pathway recommended things that Tatiana suggested. Well, first of all, Carrie immediately got up here and with an opening that got our attention. It got mine and got me into what she was talking about. And I felt much more comfortable with the way she started the speech than I did the time you gave it before, a month or so ago, whenever it was. So really good job with that. I just put down much better on that. I thought that you followed through constructively with the speech. It logically followed through the speech, and you wrapped it up when it was time to wrap up. So definitely the organization was much better. So you did start directly with the story, and you stayed direct. You did stay away from the lecture a lot. You got away from whatever it was you had up here and talked to us directly. So that was excellent also. I liked your gestures. You were gesturing at me at one point and Fred at another point. I know we're just easy marks. But but you did well with that. And you had some facial expressions too that most of us don't learn to use facial expressions, but Carrie did this very well today. And as I mentioned, you did get away from the lectern. And a lot of the evaluation form items such as vocal variety, eye contact, gestures, audience awareness, and so forth, comfort level, you all were very good at these and better than you were at the previous speech. Now, a couple of suggestions. One thing, you were supposed to get away from notes. Now, I'm not sure what you had up here. You showed me something at the beginning that I had no idea what it was, but it was all a bunch of scribbles. And if that was what you brought up here, hopefully not, that might have gotten you off track. But you did have some things, and I thought you were going to show us some of these things, and we had no idea what it was. So I would say just leave that at your seat, and even if you have to bring an outline of your notes, that's okay, even though you're supposed to stay more away from the notes. But there was too much. And at the end, you thanked us. We thank you for getting up and giving that speech. Anyway, great job, great improvement. I look forward to your next speech, Mr. Toastmaster.